Hi guys, welcome to Bite Size Journeys. I'm your host and your friend Abhishek. So let me share a story of mine with you guys. It's not so much of a story as much as it's a nightmare for me. But basically, this happened to me 10 days before my international trip, my most recent international trip. And for those people who've seen the video or the title of the video or the thumbnail of the video, you know what this is going to be about. Sit back and relax and enjoy the story. At the very core of all of this, remember to stay calm and everything's going to work out for you, as it did for me. So it all started a day before the Canada Day long weekend, where I was in a rush in pure trip planning mode, and I was looking at all the things that I needed to buy, all of my equipment, my gear, right before I would be leaving for my trip. That was going to be in 10 days. After Canada Day, I was looking and just accumulating all of my documents. I searched for my passport in my bags. I searched for my passports in my passport. Don't have multiple passports just yet. I searched for my passport in my cupboards. I searched for my passport everywhere that I could think of at home, even between the couches, and it was nowhere to be found. I had turned the house upside down. Passport was nowhere to be found. To give you guys some additional context, I had renewed my passport just 20 days prior. It had been renewed for 10 whole years, and the renewal cost was $160. And my intention was to use it for this upcoming trip. And then it occurred to us that one of two things could have happened. Either the passport was dropped somewhere and it was lost forever, or it was probably returned in an Amazon return. Now, to give you guys a little bit of context, I had been going through lots of different gear, different types of backpacks, different types of equipment that I would be carrying with myself. There's video link is in the description down below, where I detailed out all of the equipment that I would be carrying with myself for this upcoming trip. So at that point, we realized that if it was lost forever, we could do nothing about it. But the faint chance of it being in an Amazon return, we could at least try to figure out if there was some possibility for me to be able to get my passport back, my brand new passport, right before I left for my trip, which was about to commence in about 10 days. So we decided to contact Amazon immediately that evening itself, with the hopes of I would be able to get my passport back right in time before I left for my trip. There was also the more major concern that your passport, such an important document of identification, was out in the open, and you're always thinking about identity theft or something along those lines, that you do not want it to fall in the wrong hands. So that's the concern that I had in my mind. So on the same night, we decided to contact the Amazon customer service. Now, for someone who's never fallen into a situation this unique, let me tell you that figuring out Amazon's customer service number itself, or to be able to figure out some point of contact from the customer service for Amazon, is a challenge within itself. We basically tried to go through each and every line of questioning that evening itself, and we could not find anything corresponding to a situation where you've returned your passport or returned some personal belonging of importance in a returned item after an evening of going through each and every line of questioning through the Amazon portal, in their customer help center, and being completely unsuccessful in trying to figure out an option that would help us. I did a Google search, and upon multiple Google searches through some obscure website, I found a phone number for Amazon customer service. Now, this was the only lead that we had. When we did call it, it was, luckily enough, it was the customer service number for Amazon Scarborough. We did get hold of someone who was one of the agents from Amazon. And we related out the entire story that had happened or the series of events that had transpired. Agent mentioned that that was a very unique case, and they issued a ticket for our specific situation. They sent that information over to us over email. So at that point, they had also mentioned to us that someone from Amazon would get back in touch with us in one business day. Mind you, that this was the Sunday that we had talked to the agent, and the Monday being the next day, we decided to wait. After waiting through the entire working day, we decided to proactively call that same number. Since we had gotten a specific tracking ID or like a issue number or ticket number, you can call it, we decided to inquire about the status of our investigation. Upon relaying that ticket number, we realized that that ticket had already been closed. It was a new agent who we were talking to at that point, and that kind of threw us in a completely anxious and chaotic loop, because at that point you're thinking that the agent from the other day, they had assured you that someone from Amazon would call you and that an issue would be tracked for this. And here we were talking to another agent who confirmed that our ticket had already been closed without letting us know about any of these details. So I'm freaking out, and this particular agent now, they gave us a more realistic view of what would happen after creating a new ticket ID for us. So they basically mentioned to us that it would take minimum 5 days, but realistically at least 2 to 3 weeks for a package to be intercepted that was returned to the fulfillment center, and then from there for us to be able to get our personal belongings back if it had not been donated or if the package had not been destroyed. The second agent, they had also provided to us tracking number from Canada Post itself. As soon as we contacted Canada Post, an agent from Canada Post relayed to us that our particular return package had already been shipped to Mississauga, which is another city. We were really hoping the item was not shipped just yet. However, it had been shipped a day before Canada Day itself, and I was just feeling like I had to bury my head in the sand at that point, because every passing moment felt as if the possibility for me to be able to get my passport back was declining significantly. The agent from Canada Post, they also mentioned to us that there is a possibility for a package to be intercepted, but that would only happen if there's a criminal police case that has been filed. More about that in a bit. At that point, considering the amount of time that I had left before my trip commenced, I decided to cancel the existing passport and renew it. So the very next morning, I called up Service Canada and canceled my existing passport. Now, there's a tip here for you guys. One of the things that really helped me out is that I had my existing passport number. I took a picture of it as soon as I received it, and fortunately I was able to retain the passport number. That helped me cancel my passport right away through Service Canada's teleportal, and that really helped clear the process for passport renewal and passport cancellation. So, tip for you guys, every time you receive an important document like a passport, take a picture of it and store it somewhere secured and confidential. Just in case you have a situation like this happen to you, you can retrieve your information right away. Moving on, that very same day when I canceled my passport, I went to the passport renewal office and I applied for renewing my passport as well. At this point, you have to fill out two forms, one for a lost passport and the second one would be the renewal passport itself. Upon filling those two forms, when I did submit it to the passport officer, I did get a very stern warning from them about if I would lose or if I would damage the newly renewed passport that I would receive, then Service Canada would have the decision to probably deny giving me a passport or for 5 to 10 years at that point, which really put me in panic mode. But it is what it is, and it's a fair thing to do. So it basically shows to the government of Canada if you're responsible enough to have a passport, because the passport is not a document that is owned by you. It is the government of Canada's document that they issue to you. So at this point, I asked them that when would I be able to pick up my passport, and they provided me a day before I would leave for my trip so that I could pick my passport up. Oh, and in terms of the costs itself, I had to pay the renewal fees again. I did get it renewed for another 10 years, so $160 for that. And I also had to pay an additional fee for expedited processing of my passport, which was another $45. I did mention to you guys that I was exploring the option of filing a police report. So from what I understand, if you're a Canadian citizen and you lose your passport in Canada, then the police will not entertain you to file a police report for that issue. However, if you're an international traveler and then you lose your passport in Canada, then the local police can help file a report on your behalf, and then they can help do some investigation. In addition to filing a police report, you also have to approach your High Commission or your embassy so that they can guide you along. So as bad as that sounds, this is where we will pause for now. Stay tuned for part 2 for more twists and turns of how I got my passport back. Or did I?